Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Sayyidi ya Nurullah. Labbaik, labbaik ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Tajdar-e khatm-e nabuwat zindabad, zindabad. मैं सब नबियन फ़क़्तुलूहु गुस्ताख़ रसूल का एक ही सज़ा सटन से जुदा सटन से जुदा. Respected viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu wa maghfiratuhu. Today I have a very relevant topic as it relates to current events, and I would like to express some of my opinion. And when I express my opinion on geopolitical and political matters, then of course it is a topic in which there is room for disagreement. There is space for difference of opinion. Should not be considered something like the gospel truth or written in stone. Absolutely not. It's my humble opinion based upon my experience, based upon how I see the world. And also, of course, it's very much informed by my religious worldview, but it's not something that is definitive in the sense that it's unquestionable. I want to make that very clear. So please, if you happen to disagree with me, if you feel that what I'm saying is offending you, then that's your prerogative to discontinue watching, or to leave comments in the comment section expressing your disagreement, telling me why you think I am incorrect, obviously in a polite manner, without rude language or profanity. Respected viewers and listeners, today we want to talk about the ongoing war between the so-called Islamic Republic of Iran and the so-called State of Israel, in which both of these countries are blasting each other with missiles and attempting to annihilate one another. It is something that is, of course, concerning for the rest of the world, and I also want to give my opinion in this regard. Now, this all started on the 13th of June, a few days ago, when the state of Israel decided to unilaterally take action against the Islamic Republic of Iran, which it is alarmed with regard to the progress it is making toward having that nuclear bomb. And if Iran gets a nuclear bomb, that will be a nightmare for many people, particularly for Israel, but also for other countries, for the United States, for some of the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, and also Pakistan. Though many Pakistanis are very sympathetic toward Iran, perhaps the country that is most sympathetic toward them is Pakistan, along with Iraq. I'm going to get to that as well. As for my personal opinion, my personal perspective, I am not a fan of Iran, of the mullah regime that is there. They are, in my view, they are a force for instability in the region. They spread terror in the region. They attempt to destabilize other countries. They have attempted to export the revolution back in the 80s. That failed, but so they have set up proxies. And these proxies, the Shiite proxies, have terrorized the population of the Near East, particularly the Sunni Muslims, which I happen to be a Sunni Muslim. And the Sunni Muslims are 90% of the Muslims are Sunni, meaning the mainstream, the moderate, the traditional Muslims, the Sunni Muslim. The Shia is a sect that broke away from us, and due to some historical circumstances, around the 16th century CE, they became the people of Iran converted to that particular sect, whereas before the people of Iran were predominantly Sunni Muslim. So we have an ongoing feud with them, sectarian conflict, and Ever since Iran experienced the revolution in 1979, which toppled the Shah of Iran, who was considered autocratic, who was considered out of touch, who was considered a lackey of the United States and the imperialism, the American and British imperialism. So the Iranian people, they rose up and they overthrew him. And a person named Khomeini, a Shiite cleric, he took advantage of that situation, and he seized power in that period of turbulence. He seized power and he established a theocracy, a Shiite theocracy in Iran, and called it the Islamic Republic of Iran. And the mullahs, the Shia mullahs, they were empowered overnight with this revolution. They began. They enjoyed political power like no one has ever, from the clergy, has ever tasted before. So this was something that was a bad development from our perspective, because before 1979, the heresy of Shiism, it was inconsequential, it was insignificant, nobody cared. They weren't dynamic, they were just, quietist. They're just waiting there for their 12th imam that has gone into the occultation, and they're not involved in politics really. Uh, they're not really a threat. They're not really a force of energy. But 1979 comes Khomeini, he makes Shiism a revolutionary force, and people begin to express interest in this sect, and he attempts to rise up or rile up the Shia communities around the world that are focused in the Middle East, but also there are Shia community in Pakistan, in India and Afghanistan. There's also Shia communities on this side as well. So the revolution was a disaster for us. It empowered this heresy that was basically, before hitherto, was basically obscure and inconsequential. And it began to stoke sectarian tensions. The Shia became more aggressive. They began to propagate their religion. They began to propagate the religion, and through media and through conferences and literature, and attempting to convert Sunni Muslims, attempting to persuade Sunni Muslims to, if not to outright convert to their sect, then to at least consider the Iranian Revolution a pan-Islamic revolution. And so this was no good for us. So now we see that in the year 2025, since the Israeli strikes on Iran a few days ago, that really the Iranian regime is, for the first time in its nearly half century of history, it is under threat. It is teetering on the edge. It could really collapse. No kidding, it could really collapse now. So it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. I'm not saying for definite it's going to collapse. I won't say that for definite, but certainly the situation is such that it is the closest it has ever been in history. All the recent protest movements and demonstrations and riots that have happened internally in that country, all of them failed. The Green Revolution failed in 2009. The recent, last year or the year before, the Masha Amini protests, they failed. So now uh, uh, this latest development, this is more serious than everything that happened before, much more serious. And I feel that this time it's very much possible that the regime will collapse, provided a few things will need to occur for that to happen. Number one, either the people within Iran who are fed up with the regime, they say, "Oh, this is our chance. Let's rise up." The regime is weakened. They're being attacked. The army is being decimated. The IRGC is being decimated. They're unable to withstand the assault by the Zionists. Therefore, the people are going to rise up and will take advantage of this moment, and will overthrow the regime, which is a very real possibility. Number two, what is possible is that the United States gets involved. If Iran continues to retaliate, the United States could get involved, and they could say, "Okay, well, this is enough. we're going to come in and we're going to take care of business. That's also a very real possibility. The third possibility is that the regime, just without a popular uprising or without American intervention, the regime just collapses and there's total anarchy because the government is unable to establish its institutions, establish its writ. There becomes anarchy. And so the Khamenei is killed, maybe in a strike. He is killed, and then the military takes over, does a military coup. Uh, After Khamenei is killed, they do a coup. They take control of the IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and as a consequence, there's a new regime in Iran. A new regime in Iran that's ready to negotiate. That says, okay, we're no longer Islamic, so on and so forth. That's a third possibility. And I think out of these three possibilities, the third possibility that I just mentioned is the most probable. In my humble opinion, I could be wrong, as I said before. Now, respected viewers and listeners, there's no question that the Zionists are our enemy. There's no question about that. However, Iran is also our enemy. So we're seeing a war between two enemies. And I don't believe in this adage of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They're both our enemies. They're both, but one is a little more insidious than the other. One is more dangerous, for sure. The other is more insidious than the other. Why is it insidious? Because it has duped a large section of the Muslim community into sympathizing with it. And here I'm talking about Iran. What do I mean by this? So I believe that in the Sunni Muslim world, there are two countries in particular that are leading the way, or that are the powerhouses, have the potential. That is Turkey and that is Pakistan. Turkey and Pakistan, which are incidentally coming closer together, and which is a good thing. Now, Pakistan should realize that Iran is a hostile neighbor, because Iran last year, on the 16th of January 2024, launched missile strikes on Pakistani territory, killing Pakistani citizens. And of course, a few days later, 2 days later, Pakistan responded and launched its own missile attacks on Iranian territory. So if these two countries are friends, why are they attacking each other's territory? Why are they launching missiles on their respective land? They're not friends. And don't be naive to think that they are friends or that they should be friends. Iran does not like Pakistan. Really, the enmity, the hostility is from the Iranian side, but many Pakistanis, they're just too naive or too gullible to realize it, including some of those that are in power in Pakistan. They are too gullible to realize what's going on. Then Iran has a terrible record just in the past decade or two with respect to how it has been complicit in violence, in massacres of the Sunni Muslims of the Middle East. I'll give you a couple of examples. So the United States invaded Iraq in 2003, toppled Saddam Hussein, who, by the way, was a very brutal dictator. So it liberated that country, gave that country basically freedom on a silver platter. But the Iraqi people, they are something else. I want to say something about these Iraqi people. Iraqi people from history, from ancient history, they are a very different type of breed of people. They say, there's a saying in Arabic, Kufi la Yufi. Kufi, a person from Kufa, which used to be the center of Iraq during the time of the early Islam, la Yufi, they are disloyal, they are treacherous people. They're treacherous people, they are violent people, they are sectarian-minded people. They're always creating fitna, they're always making dissension. This is the history of Iraq. In the Ummah, a people of dissension, of uprising, rebellion, fitna, various sects emerging, the Khawarij, the Shia, the Rafida, and so on and so forth, all coming from that area. So it is a place of fitna. And it has something to do with the history of Babylon. As you know, Babylon is a cursed place, a place of that place that was known for sorcery and magic, and the Babylonian Empire, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, Nebuchadnezzar, uh, the the sort of idolatry that came from that land, the witchcraft that came from that land, the oppression that came from that land. So it's Babylon. It's the legacy of Babylon in that country. And as you know, actually, there's a hadith attributed to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he forbade people to offer salah in Babylon. That this is a place you don't offer salah there. You don't go there. If you have to pass through, you just pass through quickly from point A to point B. You get out of there. It's a cursed place, place of demons, place of sorcery, place of fitna. That's Iraq. So the United States invaded Iraq. The United States had no idea what it's going into, what kind of a demonic country it's going into, what kind of a place of demons and a place of sorcery and a place of fitna and sectarianism. They regretting it till this day, having gone into Iraq. But they went into Iraq, and when they overthrew Saddam, the immediate beneficiaries of that were the Shia clergy and the Shia Islamist parties. They were the immediate beneficiaries because they already had a massive social influence and religious influence among the Shia, who they estimate to be about 60% of the population there. And so when there's going to be elections, there's going to be democracy. It's these mullahs that are going to dominate, and it's the Shia Islamist parties that are going to dominate. And they are very sectarian and very hostile toward the Sunni Arabs in particular, but also toward the Sunni Kurds. And so they rampaged. In 2006, what happened was some Khariji, Takfiri terrorists of Al Qaeda that later morphed into Daesh, they blew up the Al Askari shrine in Samarra, where two great Imams are buried, Imam Ali al Hadi and his son, Imam Hassan al Askari. May Allah have mercy upon them both. They are buried in that place. And so some Takfiri Al Qaeda elements, they blew up that shrine. And as soon as that news came out, it was horrific, shocking, disturbing. The Shia community in particular, they were totally disturbed by that. It was a big thing for them, just like it was a big thing for us when the Hindu fanatics demolished the Babri Masjid in 1992. For them, it was something similar when in 2006, in February 2006, I remember, when the Samarra shrine was bombed. As soon as that bombing happened, the Shia began to rampage in Iraq. They just started killing Sunnis wherever they could find them. And thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Sunni Muslims, they were slaughtered there. It was horrific. But the Iranians were also complicit in that sort of civil war, that sectarian pogrom that occurred in Iraq in 2006, 2007. That time of history, the Iranians were complicit. They armed those Shiite militias. They supplied them with weapons and money, and so this is the black deed of Iran. Then comes the rise of Daesh, which was sort of a reaction to what the Sunnis suffered. The Daesh Khawarij, they are Khawarij, but they did actually get some support from the local Sunnis of Iraq, because the local Sunnis of Iraq, they felt that the Shia were eliminating them, so they needed them as protection. But that was a mistake, because the Khawarij, they were indiscriminate in killing both Sunnis and Shia. And so what happened was Sistani, the main mullah in Iraq, who has millions of followers, they consider him the marja, he issued a fatwa saying that make jihad against Daesh. So all the Shia in Iraq, they organized militias, they organized paramilitaries, and again, totally Iranian involvement in that. The Iranians came in, they sent in their generals, they sent in their military advisors, they were sending in the money, they were sending in the weapons. They were very complicit in the Battle of Mosul. And in that battle, under the cover of saying we're combating Daesh, what they were really doing was committing horrific abuses against the Sunni civilian population, torturing and massacring Sunni Muslims. So again, this is the black record of Iran. Final point I want to mention with regard to their black history of his sectarian violence. They totally backed Bashar al-Assad during the Syrian civil war that started in 2012 and just recently ended back in December 2024 with a victory for the rebels. And Bashar al-Assad was forced to flee. He's gone to Russia, where he's under Putin's protection now, but his Ba'athist regime has collapsed. In that civil war that lasted for over a decade, the Iranians were complicit in helping the Syrian regime and its own proxies like Hezbollah to massacre the Sunni Muslims. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, mostly civilians, women, children, elderly people, killed simply for being Sunni Muslim. This is the third black record of Iranian history. Therefore, my respected viewers and listeners, it is so understandable why we Sunni Muslims have no sympathy for that country. While the Israelis have indeed started the aggression, they are the aggressor in this war, but we don't have sympathy with the Iranians. In fact, I would say it's poetic justice. They are getting a taste of their own medicine. They're getting a taste of what it feels like, what they have been doing in the past 20 years or so to the Sunni Arabs of the Middle East. They're getting a taste of that, of their own medicine. This is my perspective. And I believe that we Sunni Muslims, of course, I'm not saying that, you should side with the Zionists, but I'm saying don't defend Iran either. Don't come to their defense either. Just stay out of it. Let these two duke it out. If one side annihilates the other, that it doesn't matter. That would be fine with me. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.